Seventh Adventist Church, beloved in the Seventh Adventist Church, this is a very urgent message, a very urgent message called a re-examination of Arthur Branner and David Gates' message, even at the doors, and the shaking of the judgment of the living. Now here recently, David Gates came out with a message dealing with that probation could close in March, April of this year. Came out with this sermon back in October of last year. Arthur Branner came out with another sermon around before that time that probation would close around that time as well. And the points they brought out was that back in September 15th of 2015, the judgment of the living began for the Seventh Adventist Church when the Pope invaded both houses of Congress, and he talked to the U.S. Congress through Obama's presidency, and he tried to get climate change legislation signed in this country, beloved in the Adventist Church. So that's when the judgment of the living began, according to Arthur Branner's message. And then, beloved in the Adventist Church, David Gates brought up the fact that Sunday legislation is simply environmental laws around the back door. That's all it is. It's environmental laws around the back door. Then recently here, Arthur Branner brought up the point that within March 10th of this year, the probation closes for the Adventist Church. And David Gates was saying that Malachi 3:3 says there's a purify the sons of Levi. Who are the sons of Levi? The sons of Levi are the men that are appointed to officiate in the house of God, the Seventh Adventist Church, either as deacons, elders, or pastors. And then Ezekiel chapter 89 says that the ancient men in the house will be cut down. Why they cut down? They're cut down because they're weeping for Tammuz. What is Tammuz worship? Tammuz worship is Sunday observance. It's or Sunday surge, like at First Church here in Huntsville, or Christmas specials like inviting Kurt Franklin over here to Oakwood, or Fred Hammond over to Oakwood for Christmas specials, and having Christmas trees. That's weeping for Tammuz. And then woman's ordination as well. Woman's ordination is another Tammuz worship, because it's trying to put a woman as a pastor. The Bible says, "Suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over man, but to be in silence." 1 Timothy 2:12. And then also 1 Timothy 1:7 says, "If any man desire the office of bishop, desire the good work of bishop, must be blameless, a husband, one wife, have faithful children, not accused of riot unruly." But those are the situations that can happen in the church. Let us know that basically closes for the church first. But look at what's happening in the government. The government is shut down. Donald Trump's not going to reopen unless there's a wall built. He just sent out a proposal to Nancy Pelosi, a recent proposal recently, after she would not accept his last proposal to reopen the government, and she still won't sit down with him and work out a deal to give DACA recipients in this country 3 more years of probation. She wants some full amnesty for them before she lets them come into this country, before she accepts Donald Trump's request. And what's so sad is that that's going to lead to a Sunday law, because if there's a terrorist attack in this country with those illegal immigrants coming over into this country and breaking down walls and going under walls and caves and stuff like that, there's going to be an outcry for the many Caucasians that are Republican, that are conservative, to pass a Sunday law to solve terrorism in this country, beloved in the Adventist Church. Either that, or it could be another natural disaster in this country, like a fire like in California recently, or a flood, or an earthquake in California, or a cyclone, or a tornado. Either one of these things can happen. And we just see right recently in Florida, they had a blood moon. Now, Esmie Branner brought out recently, Arthur Branner's wife, Pastor Arthur Branner's wife, that the blood moon symbolizes the closed probation for the Adventist Church. That's the sign they're looking for. That's the natural disaster they're looking for, beloved in the Adventist Church. Look here recently for the many apostate Protestant churches to come together and say, it's time for a Sunday law. It's time for a Sunday law. We see the blood moon that's happened in this country. It's a natural disaster. It's time to get back to God, they're going to say. Go back to mama. Go back to the Roman Catholic system. Go back to the papacy. Go back to the Catholic Church. Beloved, many Seventh Adventist Christians say today that the judgment of the living is not September 23rd, 2015, and the closest probation is not March 2019. They say that all time prophecy ends in 1844. Well, this is not so much dealt with time prophecy. This is more event prophecy. And time prophecy can be reapplied. Last day events, page 94-95. So the prophecies rose in chapter 11-18 will reapply in his last days. What were the prophecies rose in chapter 11? That was the 1260 years, the 42 month, and the 3.5 years. That's the those prophetic days, which equal years, because the day for your principle, Ezekiel 4:6, Numbers 14:34. And so we know those time prophecies will be reapplied in his last days, according to Ellen White's lost statement about how those prophecies were reapplied in 1901 to, as he said, to a speech in one of her sermons years ago. So that prophecy will be reapplied within the Adventist Church. Information is about to close, and the time of trouble is on its way March, April of this year. Look recently for chaos to happen in the cities, martial law to be signed in this country, because if they assassinate Donald Trump, if the Jesuits, which they're trying to do, because they don't like America, they don't like Protestantism. So, and Donald Trump's a Protestant. He's a Protestant that is trying to take away climate change legislation. The Catholic Church is all about climate change legislation. So Donald Trump gets assassinated. His vice president, Mike Pence, will become president. He's an evangelical Catholic. And so he will pass Son in these last days and bring on the time of trouble. So, beloved, look for the signs. The signs reveal that Christ is coming soon. Don't close your eyes to prophecy. Don't close your eyes to prophecy because some pastor tells you to, or some conference president tells you to, or some general conference president tells you to, that's vice president of a general conference like Mark Finley, or a great public president speaker like Doug Batchelor, or all these men that talk all this stuff. Believe the Bible and the spirit of prophecy. Take it as it reads. Don't take my word for it. Don't take David Gates' word for it. Don't take Arthur Branner's word for it. Study it for yourself. Great Contrast, page 370 says, the Great Contrast 370 says, this says, though no man know the day nor the hour, we're instructed to know when it is near. So we are to look at events and see when it is near, and not look at and not set dates. But what they're saying is that Arthur Branner and David Gates are setting dates. They're not setting dates. They're looking at events. They're studying the events to see when probation gets ready to close, when probation's hour is over. And beloved in the Adventist Church, I'm going to tell you something right now. When the 7 last plagues are going to hit this church and the world because of the Sun legislation over women's ordination, over them trying to endorse that and Christmas trees and dancing and new theology and ecumenicalism and worldliness in the church, when these 7 last plagues hit the world because of the Sun legislation, when women's ordination hits the church and pastors start dropping dead because they wouldn't accept the truth, because they're accepting jewelry and makeup and lipstick and dancing, when all these things are happening, you will have to say you were warned, and you're going to go to your pastors that have lied to you, and you say you should have warned us from this time that was to come upon us, and you're going to lay your hand upon your pastor, and you're going to put them to death according to Great Controversy, chapter called Desolation of the Earth, all the deceived ones. But you're not going to lay your hands upon me. I have a degree in church history from Oakland University. I'm a lay pastor. You're not going to lay hands upon me because I warned you. I told you of this time. I agree with David Gates and Arthur Branner. So don't listen to these lies. Even if it's the president of a famous Adventist university, even if it's the president of the General Conference, even if it's the vice president of the General Conference, even if it's a famous presidential minister like Doug Batchelor, do not listen to these lies. Maranatha, God bless.